Hello, my name is Vishwatvanga and I am part of the data research team at cooledtured. And my presentation for this week will be the same as previous weeks. It will be the One Piece trading card game, and this is week 5, so I will analyze the top 5 cards to buy and to sell. And just as a little disclaimer, this is not for any sort of financial advice, but this is just based on my findings, the 5 best cards that I thought would be best to buy, and the 5 best to sell based on various factors that I came up with throughout the week. And I look forward to getting into it, so I'll get into it right now. And to start off, I will go over the 5 best cards to buy, and again, this is just basically based on my findings, the best cards that I thought for buying. And I think throughout the process, what I decided my presentation to be on was a combination of factors and seeing how players would love to have these cards on their decks, or whether it's about from a collector's perspective. And also, I think mainly it's just how would this card be best for investors to invest in. So that is the main thing, but I did try to incorporate other factors as well. So I will get into it. So I did find 5 cards. So the first card that I do have is the Marco card from the PRB 02 set, and this card has dropped all the way to $8.67, which is a drop from previous times where it was $10. This is a crucial card, part of the red-blue deck, where the leader is Porteous D Ace, and this is one of the premier decks on the deck lists that are trending right now. And additionally, this is a card that contains a blocker. And additionally, this is part of the 3rd rotation, so the price will go up in the future when needed. And not only that, but this card is reprinted from the PRB 02 set, which can also account for why this card has dropped in price. But I do see that this card will eventually get back high in price, simply because that this card will definitely be in play for at least 2 more years. And I think if it's part of more premier deck lists, then it will definitely be a much needed card for players, especially who play blue deck. The next card that I do have for my analysis that I think would be the best to buy is this Roronoa Zora card from the OP15 set. And currently this card has decreased in market value to underneath $5. And I think some of the actions which can be attributed to why that this card has decreased is because of the post-release drop, because it has been a while since OP15 has released, and now because of supply the price will probably go down. So that's one of the reasons that can attribute to it. But I do see that this card will gain more value in time, because I think that Roronoa Zoro is part of one of the more iconic crews in One Piece, which is the Straw Hat crew. And this character definitely has popularity. And when we talk about playing, this character definitely increases chances for winning for a deck where the leader is Monkey D. Luffy. And I think that there is another leader as well, which this card can be played. But this is definitely a very playable card currently, and for that reason I can see that when upcoming cards and decks do come, that this card can increase in price and will be worth way more. So for that reason, I think that this card would be one of the better cards to buy currently. The next card that I do have that I would advise to buy would be this Nami card from the OP11 set. Card number is OP11 of 054. And just to start off, Nami has popularity and consistency in the One Piece market. So I think you cannot go wrong with this card, whether it's buying or selling, just based on the specific condition.
Yeah.
But other than that, this card has a blocker along with a counter and some other on-play effects, as you can see on top of the card. And this is a crucial card for winning decks that I have seen, and leaders like Blue Yellow Boa Hancock, which is part of the deck lists, and this card definitely is in most of those deck lists where Blue Yellow Boa Hancock is the leader. I think there are other leaders as well that can benefit from such a card. But other than that, currently this market price is around $2 to $3, so if you were to buy this card, it would be a relatively safe buy, because there is more of a chance for this card to increase in the future. But other than that, the demand for this card is definitely there, as around 25 units are sold per day. And I think that it would be best to buy right now when the price is currently this much, before the price goes a little bit higher later on. So for those reasons, I think this would be a nice pickup, and there's relatively low volatility with this card. And for our next card that I have the Boa Hancock, and this card is from the OP14 set, and the card number is OP14112. The market price of this card has dropped to less than $6, and I think that is one of the reasons why it would be more ideal to buy right now compared to when the price goes up later on. And I think there are some reasons for why this card is pretty low right now. But right now, Boa Hancock is one of the more important characters in One Piece. And additionally, this card is part of Rotation 4, so this card will definitely be in play for more than 2 years. And definitely that I could see that the price of this card definitely increases later on, considering the popularity. And also, I think this is a card that really helps players as well, because this is one of the more crucial cards in the blue-yellow Boa Hancock leaders. And this is part of the meta deck list, and I think there is another leader that this can definitely help win percentages with. But additionally, one thing about this card that makes this card very dangerous is the two genres. As you can see, that there is the 7 Warlords of the Sea and the Kuja Pirates. So this is also one of the reasons why this card is very dangerous when you play this card. And this definitely looks like a finishing card, as you can see from the 10 to 1000 power as well. So this is definitely a card that will be in demand later on, but right now it's a little bit low. And also, one other thing that can attribute for this is definitely because of the post-release drop, but I can see this card going back in price later on for sure. And for the last card that I do have that I would propose for buying is Crocodile. So this card is part of the OP14 set, and currently this is a secret rare card that is currently around $6. And what I mean by secret rare card is the fact that the pull rate for this card is very low. But along with the pull rate being low, the price is also pretty low right now. But I can definitely see it going up in the future and where it can be sold for profit. But obviously one of the reasons why I think this card is currently at the price as it is because of the post-release drop. So that's one reason. But I also think that this card is definitely out of the meta right now, which contributes to the price being pretty low currently. But I do see some upside for this card as it is part of the 4th rotation, which means the value of this card most likely might rise considering this is a secret rare. I don't see that this card is going back to around $3. So that's one of the reasons why I think it would be best to buy now and sell later for profit. And other than that, I think another interesting part about this card is the Baroque Works type, which you can see obviously this card has 2 types and one of them is Baroque Works. But I think this specific piece of information definitely makes this card more popular and more interesting for players to use going on in the future. So for those reasons, I think this would be one of the better cards to buy. And this is also one of the cards that is very interestingly the price that it is. But I really do see this card going back up in price later on. Okay, and moving on, I will come up with 5 of the best cards to sell. And this is simply based on my research again, but some of the factors that I really looked into were the price and just the market trend of some of these cards building up to the current price. So those are some of the factors I decided to consider and basically figure out if these cards might drop, which I kind of do think they might drop, so it will be ideal to sell now before it goes for a lower value. And for my first card that I would propose to sell is this Sabo card, which is part of the PRB02 set. And this is the alternate card version, I do want to get clear. So this is the card that currently has a market price of over $28, and this is just a super rare card. So for a super rare card to go for $28 seems like it would be best to sell right now for profit, most likely. And other than that, I think there's some of the reasons why this card is the price is over $28 is obviously because it's part of the alternate art, and those cards definitely go for more value. And other than that, even for players, this card has a unique plus 2000 counter. And obviously, like I said previously, the artwork is also another reason why this card has been pretty high on the price as of right now. And not only that, but it is part of the premium set, that is the PRB02 set. But this is, I think, a very good card that collectors would want and even players would definitely go after. So I think selling would be the best option, and I don't think it would be too hard right now, considering the fact that this card is at one of the peaks of its market price. So for those reasons, I think this would be one of the better cards to sell off. For the next card that I do have in my list, it is the Portgis the Ace card, which is also part of the PRB 02 set. And just like the previous Sabo card, this is also an alternate art card as well. And definitely I think alternate art cards have more value. And especially for collectors, this is definitely a card to pursue based on the artwork. And that is also one of the reasons why this card is at one of the peaks of its market price. And just like the previous card as well, this is part of the PRB 02 set. And this is on the other side where it's currently pretty high right now compared to the other cards that I mentioned in the best cards to buy. But this is definitely one of the cards that has gotten a lot of appreciation. And I think starters will definitely also want to pursue this card, whether it's as a player or even as a collector, as this is something that really blends some of the past versions of One Piece cards into some newer transformations. So just that might be very interesting for people, and that's one of the reasons why the price has been driven so high. But I definitely do think that this might be a card, considering its type as well, that it might fall back down in price. So I think that's one of the reasons why it would be best to sell off right now. The next card that I would propose to sell is this Suro card from the OP06 set, and currently the market price has gone up to $9.30, which is definitely way more than it was previously. And I think the reason to sell right now is because the price is definitely at a peak right now compared to previous times, and this card is part of the second rotation, and this card might definitely lose value later in the future. And there might be other fluctuations going on then, but currently I do not believe that this card will ever reach the peak of $9.30, which it is right now. But I think some reasons why this card would be nice is because this card has a plus 2000 counter for players to use. And other than that, I think the popularity of this card might definitely go down in the future because of less popularity and less demand. So to sell now would be more ideal than to sell when the price goes a little bit lower. For my next card that I would propose selling, I have this Marshall D Teach card, and again, like some of the other cards mentioned over here, this is also an alternate art card as well. So this is part of the OP09 anniversary set, and I think that's one of the reasons why this card is, I think, high, and I think it will be high for different times. But this is a super rare card with a market price at around $21, which I think would be best to sell off right now for profits. But other reasons why I think it would be best to sell now is because this card is part of the third rotation, and this card will be effective, but I think that it will definitely lose a little bit more value in the tail end when the third rotation comes to an end. Other than that, I do think that this is one of the strong endgame cards to use for the players that play leaders of the black deck. And also another thing that I really thought would be interesting is this card is definitely an alternate art card. So this card will definitely be very interesting and will be pursued a lot by collectors, and I do see the same for players getting this card, and especially if they're like a black player as well. So I could see them definitely pursuing this card right now, or even in the future. I don't know, but I really think that this card is at one of the peaks right now at $21, so it would be best to sell. And for one of the last cards I have this Ace and Newgate card, which is part of the starter deck 22. Card 001. This is also the leader as well for this deck. And on top of that, this is also a parallel card as well. So currently right now, the price of this is around $14 for a leader. So I think that's definitely one of the starting points to sell this card off right now. But I also think another reason why the card is pretty high is simply because of the fact that this is a parallel card, so it definitely has a little bit more value, and Ace is one of the more popular cards that also can be the reason for the rise in price. But other than that, I think this would definitely be very much useful for people that are players that are starting to get into the game, So I think that's one of the reasons that will make this card best for selling for those players. And also for collectors, I think this looks like a decent card as well, considering it is parallel and the art and the characters on the card as well. And finally, another reason why I think that this card is at the price that it is because this card has some useful activation functions, and this is a pretty decent leader to use, especially for people that are just trying to get into the game. Especially for people that want to play blue leaders, this is a nice card to start off with. And this is obviously a starter deck, so just to get the start of the game, I think this would be something that is best to make profit off right now before the card dips in price, because more decks will come out and people might get a little bit more, I would say, proficient with the game. So I think selling this leader card off right now would definitely be best for investors as well. And that is it for my presentation this week, and today's date is May 2nd, so this is basically my market analysis for the week, for my 5th week, and for the week of May 2nd. Thank you very much.